Hey y'all, I'm just a bit tired because this is my third time recording this video, because for some reason my software, has just decided to, crash out on me in, the middle of what I was doing, but that's okay, because I think talking about this is really important, so I wanted to give it another, good old try, another go, and that is the skin colors. So basically, you have your animation, you have your backgrounds all sorted, and then the thing that you're going to be doing is kind of coloring the character. Once you have your background and everything, you have your character, it's animated, it's line art, you want to base that out with colors. And, maybe you're just coloring all the files, one skin tone that kind of helps with the consistency in terms of when the files are published and the coders and everything, but you also want to make sure that the colors that we have for palletization, so any of the colors that people could possibly select when they're doing the simulation, that those are going to work with other things you pick. So, for example, this is a pretty neutral background. It could potentially be a skin color. We could color this character that color, but that's not going to work because that's what the background color is. And essentially, when this hex code gets, called up because, that is the base or something, and, the character's skin tone is changed. Not only is the skin tone changed from this to something else, but the background would also be changed from this to something else. So that's not really what, we're trying to do. And, you want to go through, and even if the character's skin, it's based out, it's one color, you do want to, have this process where you kind of go through and just throw other colors from the palette on there and see if those colors are working with the background, that character is contrasting with the background, that they stand out, and that there isn't something else in the background that, whoops, you accidentally colored something that's in the skin tone palette, so that looks a little bit funky, because you are, kind of working, with, ultimately the focus is on the character, and if you select things in the background, so if things in that sense are kind of jiving, it's a bit of a, you know, just something that you want to kind of avoid. But ultimately, the palette is going to be what the palette is. There's going to be the light skin tones, there's going to be the medium ones, and there's going to be the dark ones. So if you're finding, for whatever reason, in a scene that a skin tone is just kind of looking off or not right, that's because, it would be something you need to change about the background as opposed to something that, needs to be changed about the skin tone. And the palette could also be expanded, in which case, ways that you could go about, finding new skin tones to possibly add to the simulation, or you can go into this little mixer tool in the color picker, and kind of play around with that, essentially, until you find skin tones that you like, skin tones that you think would be, worth including, that we don't already have, or we don't already have something similar that is in the simulation. But, not everyone is, super great at using, the mixer tool, necessarily finding, the most naturalistic thing, in which case, just you can import photos to reference any kind of shape or reference any type of thing you might be trying to, draw or incorporate. You can also just eyedrop on a photo and use your eyedrop tool, in your color selection. And if you don't want to go in and do all this big hoopla and be mixing colors, you can just eyedrop off of natural skin tones. If you see a picture of a person and, when looking up references, are like, oh, that could be a skin tone that maybe we don't have that could be included, or even just see, any other, kind of image that displays a color that you think might work as a skin tone, you can go in and just eyedrop it as opposed to doing the mixing process, and that might be an easier way for you to get a skin tone or hair tone that is a bit more naturalistic looking. And we also have hair. I don't know at this point if the hair is customizable in the sense we have different hairstyles which are certainly customizable. I don't know if there are color options in terms of, if the hair is different colors or if it's more so this color. But if that is something that exists or is something to add in the future, do the same thing with, your hair. It doesn't mean you have to, color all the scenes, with the hair and skin different colors or anything, but maybe just find, one still or one frame where you just kind of play around with the colors a bit and see what's working and what isn't. And again, if they want you, to find colors for, the different things in the simulation, the hair, the eyes, different things that, that they want to palletize, you don't have to go in and, be like, oh, I don't know, how to, maybe I don't know how to get a blonde without, it looking like this funny kind of yellow or something. You can go find a picture of someone who's blonde, and I drop the blonde. You can go find a picture of someone who's brunette, and I drop their hair color. You can go find a picture of someone who has, blacker hair, because it's not going to be, this pure kind of black. There will be overtones and undertones and everything. And I dropped that, and that'll be alright. And, maybe they do want palletization of hair to maybe include some crazy colors, and that's okay too, in which case, you can go into the swatches, and kind of play with color, go into the mixer, play with color, or just import some reference photos, and I drop any color that you need, any color that they want you to include, any color that you think might be, worthwhile or including, as well as, we do have images saved that kind of show the palette and just swatches of all those different colors. You can import that in and just eyedrop of that as well. So, lots of different ways to go about skin tone here, but you really do want to go through and, just make sure, skin, potentially hair, potentially eyes, anything that's going to be palletized, is just working, with what you've got. And if not, the palette, whether it's staying in is, whether it's going to be expanded, or different things like that. You just want to make sure, the palette will be what it is. So if it's not working with what you've got, you may need to tweak, what you have or different things you have in the background.